Some problems, you don't need to worry because we will record this session and I will send you by email right after the session the recording link. So before we go into our seminar, our very special seminar today, I need to give you some instructions. So if you want to participate, and there will be moments where you will participate, you need to raise your hand, so you just need to click on the icon that has a little hand. If you want to just agree with us or disagree, you have those green and red symbols. If you want to speak, you will need to unmute your microphone. If you cannot do that, you need to wait for one of us to do it for you. You just need to raise your hand, and we will see that you want to speak and participate. Also, if we are going too slow or if we are going too fast in our speech, you can ask us to slow down or to go a little bit faster by clicking on the arrows right before the smiley faces. And if you want to express your emotions, you may also express using the emoticons. If you have problems with sound, again, and I've been recommending this on the chat, but as just a reminder, it is better to use headsets, and you may need to click on audio on the top bar, and then click on speaker, microphone, audio test, and if it still does not work, maybe you need to try to leave the session and come back again, okay? I'm sure you will still have your place. So this may solve the problem. Sorry, this may solve the problem, or you may try a different web browser. And now, I would like to introduce you our beautiful speaker today, and her name is Silvia Dell'Acqua. I know her from the eTwinning world, but she will explain a little bit more about that later. And it's been a great pleasure to work with her in the past. But for you to know her a little bit more, I would like to introduce her and explain what she has been doing so far. She has always been passionate about education and training and international policy making. And Silvia graduated in Diplomatic and International Studies. And then she earned her Master of Science at London School of Economics, where she devoted the final dissertation to the role of education and training in knowledge-based societies. She worked at the Research Institute of the Ministry of Education in Italy, she's Italian, focusing on international education and information and communication technologies. Then Silvia joined the European University Institute, where she developed from scratch the Academy of Global Governance. I'm not sure if you are aware of this. A successful endeavor, for sure. Now Silvia is the Director of International Programs, Projects and Outreach at the Vesalius College in Brussels, where her main task is the internationalization of the college. She has also been a speaker at several education and international events like EDEN and also the 3rd Annual Forum of E-Learning Excellence in the Middle East. But I won't take any more minutes from her, and I'm sure she will do a great job today and will give us some food for thought on this very topic. And I will now give the floor to Silvia, and you may select your presentation, Silvia.
So thank you very much, Ruth, for this very positive presentation, and I hope that I will not disappoint the audience. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I would define myself as a European, truly European, before being Italian. And eTwinning has taught me this. I have been working in eTwinning for some years, actually for 4 years, and I have to say that I deeply enjoy it. And when I was proposed to give this workshop, I was so excited because I know how special you are, eTwinning teachers, and I'm really more impressed from the fact that new countries have joined, because I see in the chat that we have teachers from Georgia, from Armenia, from Ukraine. So I'm really pleased to have the chance to speak to all of you. And well, information and communication technologies are fundamental for eTwinning, and for this reason, I would like really to use technologies also to communicate with you, because you are so many, and for me it's such a precious occasion also to have your feedback. So it would be great if you can drop questions and then Rute can convey them to me, because it's really very important to have this exchange. I don't like to have an ex cathedra workshop. Of course, this is not the spirit of eTwinning, and I'm going to stick to our spirit. Okay, so why education and diplomacy? This is a very interesting question, and of course, the answer is very practical. I was, well, for my job, since now I'm working at Vesalius College in Brussels, and I'm in charge of the internationalization of research, we were looking for partners to put together an Erasmus Plus project. And so I had to go to Poland, and I was sitting at a table, and we were talking about the call, how to structure it, which topics to touch upon, how to organize it. And then I suddenly realized that at our table there were academics, professors and teachers from Ukraine and Russia. And I was thinking, but in these dark days for international diplomacy, education is managing to have at the same table, talking peacefully and thinking how to collaborate Ukraine, well, teachers and professors from Ukraine and Russia. This is great. I mean, education is overcoming diplomacy, international diplomacy. So I was thinking, okay, so the power of education is stronger than the power of diplomacy, or is it that education is an aspect of diplomacy? And so this is why I started thinking about this topic. And then I had to go to a TED Talk in Amsterdam, and I was presenting about education and diplomacy. And again, I was thinking, okay, Ukraine and Russia are sitting at the same table, but are there in the world other examples of, education outperforming diplomacy? Yes, I discovered that Cuba and the US are collaborating on academic and education projects, and also Israel and Palestine. And so I thought, okay, I have to give a thought to this subject. And so this is why we are here. So we can start. Well, my aim is to make you aware of the fact that you are true diplomats. You as teachers, believe me, throughout my presentation, I would like to suggest you to think about situations in which you have exercised the diplomatic skills I will talk you about. I will ask you also to, while watching at the videos that I've selected for you, to write down the keywords that you find in them. And you will see that all those keywords, all those skills, well, you have them, believe me. And you will tell me at the end of the workshop if I was true or not. So, the heart of is simply the ability to engage in interactions using skills, tact, and sensitivity. It's not a case that there are the dots, because I think that here you can put either diplomacy and or education, and you will see why. So this is a picture, and then you see that it's an international conference with China and Russia. And this is, of course, a way of diplomacy to show what's going on. This is the way of education to show what's going on. But this is the same concept. It is just translated in two ways. So this is to show you that you can talk also about diplomacy in school, drawing, simply drawing. This is a very, very simple example, but I think very meaningful. What is diplomacy? Some could argue that diplomacy has existed as long as human being race. Whenever someone leaves their homeland for a new destination, they take on the role of citizen diplomat. By sharing their customs, culture with people from other lands, they're also furthering the reach of their home country. You, as a eTwinning teacher, how many times you have taken part in international conferences, in workshops, you have traveled around, you have visited your partners. So you were a citizen diplomat. Perhaps you didn't realize that, but you were. And which are the milestones of diplomacy? Well, it's one of the most ancient arts, of course, because since, you know, the Egyptians, the Romans, the Assyrians, there were always ambassadors everywhere, because it was important to have relationships with other cultures. Of course, the aim is to serve public interest, because you're not aiming, well, of course, it's true. There's one part of diplomacy that is about interest. This is true. But then the most part of diplomacy is about the common good, because of course you cannot be in war with other countries, with other people. So you are always trying to solve problems. And we will go back to this concept of problem solving. Then the third element, keeping pace with societal change. This is extremely important. Why you're keeping pace with society? Well, of course, because you have to find solutions. And in order to find solutions, you have to be updated. You have to use technologies. Of course, the job of diplomat has changed immensely during the centuries. And the same is with education. And I will show you later that all these 3 points are in common with diplomacy, with education. I would like to give you 2 hints on the basic concepts of diplomacy of our century. The first one is soft power. Well, if you think of diplomacy in the last centuries, you will think of battles, wars, and struggles, and hard power in one word. Today, diplomacy is more about soft power. And this soft power is what is fundamental in education. I'm not surprised of that. And I'm quoting someone. Soft power is a term that was coined in 1990. And then it was published a book in 2004. The title of the book, I advise you on reading it. It's very short and it's very interesting because even if it talks about diplomacy, I think that it talks about education and teachers. I found it so interesting and inspiring. The title is Soft Power, column, the means to success in world politics. Believe me, it's about education. Why? Because I want to read you the definition that Joseph Nye gives about soft power. He says, a country may obtain the outcomes it wants in world politics because other countries, admiring its values, emulating its example, aspiring to its level of prosperity and openness, want to follow it. In this sense, it is also important to set the agenda and attract others in world politics, and not only to force them to change the threatening military force or economic sanction. This soft power, getting others to want the outcomes that you want, copes people rather than coerces them. What does it mean? For example, when you are talking about the project, right, and you are talking with your colleagues in your home country, and you see that some are reluctant, some are against, and some are puzzled. What is your soft power? The soft power is to convince, through the attractiveness of your idea, those who are not really sure, or to motivate even more your colleagues that are already in favor. And you are exercising the soft power within your environment, but it's even more difficult, I think, if you want to exercise your soft power when you go abroad, when you are looking for a partner, for example. So you have to find a really, really attractive idea. You have to give a flair to that idea to persuade the others to follow you. This is soft power, and so you are a true diplomat if you are exercising that art. Joseph Nye continues, I see that you have found the book on the web, very good, saying, seduction is always more effective than coercion. Of course. And many values like democracy, human rights, and individual opportunities are deeply seductive. I give you an example. When you travel in some countries, I think for us as an Italian, when I went to the US the first time, I was thinking, oh, but I have already seen these cars of the police. I have already seen this, skyline at night in New York. Why? Because through movies, the US has exercised the soft power towards Europe, in the western part especially. So there was a means of socialization before. And so some countries in Europe, they were seduced through the soft power. Or I give you another example. Recently in Tuscany, I was told that there are many Brazilian tourists. And that increase was due to the fact that a soap opera that was based in Tuscany was shown on the TV in Brazil. And so Tuscany exercised soft power towards Brazil, and Brazilians were coming to Tuscany more than before. With education, you see what it means, and especially within eTwinning, to find a partner, to find a good idea, to propose it to the right people, you have to exercise the soft power. The second basic concept in diplomacy, negotiation jiu-jitsu. What does it mean? If you Google jiu-jitsu, you will see that it's a martial art. But as you know, martial arts are not to threaten the others, but normally you use the strength of the other at your advantage. And this is specifically what is negotiation jiu-jitsu. I quote, as in the martial art of judo and jiu-jitsu, avoiding pitting your strengths against theirs directly. Instead, use your skill to step aside and turn their strength to your end. This is exactly what happens, I think, in many projects. You see that things are not going so well, or you have some pitfalls, and you think, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, don't stress. Think about it, how I can take the best from these. Perhaps you had a plan before, but then you see that it doesn't work. Well, it's not a problem. You should think not of a B plan. A B plan sounds not so good. Of a creative idea. Be creative means to be strong, because it's not always that you have to follow always the same street. Also, a suggestion from a colleague, from a partner within eTwinning, that you think first, okay, but this is not what I was really thinking about, or no, this is not really what I wanted to do. It can be also a research. So please think about that. And then if you're doing this, you are exercising your negotiation jiu-jitsu. And again, you are a true diplomat. All right. Education. I really like, well, there are tones. I see, Tanya, that you are saying that creativity is very important in our days. Yes, I truly believe this, because, you know, there are so many pitfalls, and creativity can be called in so many things, can be called as jiu-jitsu. Okay, education. I heard and we read so many definitions of education. I really like this one. A willingness to investigate issues in the local school and wider community. So you see that you have always your national plan, but also the global one, the European one, and even beyond Europe, I see. A readiness to recognize social, economic, ecological, and political dimension of issues needed to resolve them. This is very interesting because, as you see in the eTwinning portal, the themes on which eTwinning projects are concentrate are so many. They span each bit of society, and this is great. This is modern education, the ability to analyze issues and to participate in action aimed at achieving a sustainable future. Be an eTwinning teacher, be an eTwinning ambassador, be active. So this is really, I think, a definition that is tailor-made on eTwinning teacher, on eTwinning ambassador. Great. And then what you see, education is one of the most ancient arts. Of course, it was there since the beginning of the centuries. The most educated were the ones that were in power in societies. And the big achievement of democracy was to empower also the others, to be equals. So this is why education is a human right today. Of course, you are serving public interest. Again, before it was something that was just for some sphere of society, and then it became something through democracy for everybody, because you are serving public interest. Keeping pace with societal change, of course. Now you use so many devices. You use perhaps the whiteboards in your classes. You use, you do webinars. You are taking part in this workshop online from all over Europe. These wouldn't be possible in the past. So, of course, education is keeping pace with the change of society. And you see, these three characteristics apply perfectly either to diplomacy or to education. So again, in a way, diplomats are educators and educators are diplomats. There is a very evident pedagogical dimension of diplomacy. And I think that you should already feel it. Now, I would like to go through these 4 points with you because I think that now we can already talk about e-diplomacy. These are 4 pillars, I think, of this new art that we have discovered. And I would guess that you are already thinking, okay, I'm open, I apply knowledge, skills, and commitment. I have, problem solving is every second for a teacher. And then, of course, I'm acting locally and acting globally as well, because I'm a teacher in my class, but then I travel, but then I take part in a eTwinning conference, and then I'm in touch with my buddies through ICT's device. Tonight we are here, and I'm in Brussels, and you are everywhere. I saw people from Georgia, from Armenia, from Italy, from all over the countries, from Ukraine. So, and then if you want to write more where you are. So it's really that we are local, but we are global, so we are glocal again. What does it mean? It means that we are cosmopolitan. I would like to show you how the lack of diplomacy can affect our children. How it is important, diplomacy, for our societies, because it has an impact also on education. And I would like to underline 100 times, and even more if possible, how important are the teachers also in filling the gaps when diplomacy is not working. This is why the other day I was looking at the website of this Italian newspaper, and I was so struck by these drawings, and I thought, okay, I will show them to my fellow eTwinning teachers during our workshop. These are drawings that were done by Syrian children, and you see that there's threat, there's dismay. This one is better, I think. This one, no, not at all. This as well. So you see that a child is drawing weapons, is drawing things that shouldn't be drawn by a child. And of course, the role of the teacher is fundamental, because they have to explain, they have to fill the gaps, they have to work on it. When diplomacy is not working, then the teacher diplomat has to work to replace it and to give breath to these children. I will go back to my presentation. So the first point, openness. Of course, as a eTwinning teacher, you are the most open because people can interact with you both locally, globally, through ICTs or in person. So you are the most open ever. Human beings have always been seekers of knowledge. This is something that is like to be thirsty. The minute we discover something new, we want to share it with others and move on to new achievements. Since the beginning of recorded history, and probably even before, we have always strived to discover the mysteries of the planet, of Earth, and of ourselves. You want to share. And now it's so easy to share. How many times you share on your eTwinning desktop a resource, or on your Facebook or on Twitter? You have so many means, and now you are also sharing your thoughts on the chat. You see, you're always sharing because you want to communicate something to the others, and this is the basis of education. Also, your children, your student, they always want to tell you something. They always want to share something, and this is something that is basic. Okay, I would like to give you these two resources that I think that can be useful, especially the first one is Open Education Europa. I don't know if you already know this website. It is particularly interesting, I think. Now let's see if it opens. Perhaps it's uploading. Okay, so someone, Nino, he knows him.
We can see
thank
it now.
you, Eliza.
We can see it now. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth. So this is a website that I think is quite interesting. Why? Because it's providing you resources to use for your project. It deals with the different subjects and different tools are provided. I think it is particularly interesting, for example, to have a look to the papers, because of course during your work as a eTwinning teacher it's always good to be updated about the last findings. Yes, I wanted to show you this, the news. The last findings. Also, if you want to talk or to focus on different topics, then you have here the e-learning papers. So if you are not really sure of the outcome of the impact, well, first the impact and then the outcome of your project, believe me, these are very useful resources that you can use because, you know, there are some tricks that perhaps you can infer from these papers. They're very short and they are really talking about European projects. And since eTwinning is part of the European family, why not? Then articles, even more interesting. Let's see when it opens. Okay. Again, many suggestions about the use of ICTs in school, the evolution of learning technologies. Believe me, this is a very good one. You have them in different languages, as you see. Okay. Then the EU projects. You can get inspired by what others have done in the past. There are interesting projects, for example, on entrepreneurial skill, on social skills, on the environment, on cities. You find everything in this website. So please take your time and explore it. And then you will tell me if it was worthwhile or not. And I would like to show you something because I think it can be quite interesting for you, and it's under MOOCs, if I'm not wrong. No, actually, it's not here because I wanted to show you about the online. No, it's under news. Okay, and it's a conference that I wanted. Okay, here. This is the online Educa Berlin, and it happened also to me, because as Ruth was saying at the beginning, I spoke also to some conferences, and of course I took part in them because I passed a selection through a call for papers, and basically if you want to give a thought about what you have done during your eTwinning project, then you can write a paper. The deadline for submission is the 1st of June, and these are the themes. Topics can include this thing, making it reality, designing learning longevity, broadening horizon, new context, education technology in society, employing multimedia, etc., etc. So if you want to give a thought about your experience, you can be a case study. So Think about that. All right. So this was a first resource that I wanted to share with you. And then there's a second one. This is simply an example of a think tank that is at European level, and it's called Open Education Challenge. It has been founded by the European Union, and it's about startups dealing with education that has been funded and that can show you some aspects of education that you did not think about before. I don't know why it's not uploading, so perhaps we have to wait a bit. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So we see, okay, right. So you see that it's very new because the challenge will be in 2015, and you can see where the projects are based, what they are dealing with, which are the innovative ideas. And I think that this can be also a source of inspiration for you, because, you know, eTwinning has been running for so long, if I'm not wrong, is more than 10 years. And so if you don't want to repeat your ideas always, you have to look, to fish for ideas. And so these websites are fantastic. Okay, you're sharing it. Very interesting and useful. Thank you very much, Tonia, Nada, Andrea. Thank you. Okay, so you will go back. I'm not spending too much on these, the important things to share. And then I would like to watch with you this video by Open Society Foundation, which can help us in reflecting how much was important education diplomacy. So let's see when I think it is uploading. Okay, right?
See it? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's watch it together.
I think everybody needs to click on play, otherwise it won't run in a synchronous way. So please click on play to watch it.
Well, I think that you had the flavor. Are we back? Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I think that you had the flavor. How important is to empower people through education? And this is a diplomatic action by all means. The Open Society Foundation used the funds to empower through edutainment communities in several countries. And you see how was important the role of teachers, of parents, of children. This is empowerment. That is a key word both for education and diplomacy. This is the first point, openness. Then we will go on. The second point was knowledge, skills, and commitment. I would like to show you other resources. The E-Institute World Bank. Okay, what is it? Well, as you know, the World Bank is engaged in many activities, and one of the most is precisely education. They have created this institute online. Now, I hope it will be soon displayed on our presentation. And it's especially for early childhood. I suggest you to surf on this website because you will find again other resources. Very interesting for your job. You see that there are e-courses, that are webinars, that there are e-communities, again, to get inspiration for new eTwinning projects. When something is not going well, then you can get inspiration from here. There are different topics that are tackled. I can show you something that is, I was thinking, that can be particularly interesting for you. See that those webinars are recorded. For example, you can talk about reurbanization in your project. And then here you see what it does imply, so you can get ideas, exercise your soft power to the other colleagues, and also exercises at European level to attract our partners, to exercise also your negotiational jiu-jitsu again. So when you see that something is not going in the right direction, then you know how to turn the outcomes at your end. And I think that here you can have also other ideas, also about food, for example. That is quite an interesting topic. I saw it here among the topics proposed. And, well, for example, the expo in Milan will be about food. And so, of course, it's a very global topic. And here you can have resources. You can find other material. So please, I advise you on surf it and on seeing why you can be inspired in your work. We will go back to our presentation. And then I would like also to share with you another resource that I think is equally interesting. That is the Center for Education Diplomacy. It should be here. Let me see. Yes, Education Diplomacy. This institute was, well, started in 2009. And what is interesting about it? Okay, thank you, Ruth, for this. And then we can go to Education Diplomacy. Okay, we are here. Another interesting resource. Why is it interesting? Because it was recognized that education diplomacy is relevant. So already in 2009. Okay, why? Because education, first of all, is a human right. We have discussed about this before. Secondly, it encourages just civic engagement. Thirdly, it has been recognized that education attainments are linked to the outcomes of a nation or of a geographical area. The more educated you are, the better off you are. This is a great result. And so, of course, you should exercise the education diplomacy at your advantage, having always in mind public interest in order to make the most of it. And then in this website, you will find interesting resources: Education for All, Learning for All, Learning Matrix Task Force, etc., 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 the Millennium Development Goals that can guide you within your project, giving you new ideas, giving you new inputs, giving you some parameters to which you can stick to in order to improve your outcomes as a twinning teacher. So please have a look at this. Then we go back to the presentation. Education is this one, I guess. Okay. And we tackle the third point. Well, this, I think, is the most important characteristic for a teacher, the problem solving, and is, of course, very important for a diplomat. You have to solve problems, yes, each day, each second, but in a positive way, again, through the soft power and the negotiation jiu-jitsu. So let's watch together this video. I think it's extremely inspiring. I think that many of you have heard Malala. She was near to gain the Nobel Prize for Peace for her educational action in the world. And I think that we can be inspired from her. And I advise you, while listening to her, to write down some keywords. And I would like you to share them on the chat, so we will see what are the keywords. Which are the keywords?
So don't forget to take notes of the keywords, please.
So I believe we can go back. Sorry, I'm here. I believe we can go back because, well, it's a very intense interview, and I think that you can watch it also. And I think that, well, which are the keywords? Well, it really depends on what is your sensitivity. But I think that through this video, you realize that the problem solving of education is not limited to education itself, but it goes well beyond in all those fields that are fundamental for society and also for diplomacy. She was talking about labor, child labor, about trafficking, about income of families. So all topics that go well beyond education. So this is why the role of a teacher goes well beyond education field. And I think that through the words of Malala, again, you can be inspired and you can realize how important is your role within society. And to give you the last hint, oh, thank you, Nadia, for your appreciation. I would like to give you, to leave you with a hope. I hope you have enjoyed so far this seminar and you have realized that eTwinning teachers are true diplomats. I hope that you have been curious about the resources that I've shared with you. I hope that they will help you within your work, daily work, and I hope that you have realized how many times you exercise soft power and negotiation jiu-jitsu. I would like to leave you with this video that I think is very interesting because it shows you to which school we should aim within eTwinning and within your daily life as a teacher. So I thank you very much for your attention, and let's watch together this video. Thank you. So I hope that you have enjoyed the video, and this is the ideal school, but I think that you can already find some elements within your school, or perhaps you can improve, you can get inspiration from them. And I really would like to thank you for being together for this hour, and I hope that you have been inspired, that you have now new ideas, new enthusiasm, and I would like to say goodbye and thank you to eTwinning diplomatic teachers. Goodbye.
Thank you, Silvia. And to finish our seminar, I would like to inform you that I will send you the recording link as well as all the resources that Silvia has shared with us. So you will receive everything, including the presentation. Right, Silvia? I can send the presentation?
Of course, please do. I will be pleased, yes.
So I will share everything with you, and you can watch it again and rethink about everything that it was mentioned here today. And also, I would like to mention that in more or less 1 month, we will have another seminar on global education and interculturality in eTwinning. So if you want to participate, you just need to apply as you applied for this one. Once more, thank you so much. We were so happy to have more than 100 people here with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was really great. And again, thank you so much, Silvia, for your input in the eTwinning world again.
My pleasure.
So thank you, and bye-bye. See you next time.
Goodbye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.